What's going on? Welcome to another video. And in this video, we're going to do a deep dive into what's going on at Leicester City. They're level on points with Bournemouth in the relegation zone. So in this video, we're going to look at why this has been years in the making and the mistakes that Leicester have made to make them relegation contenders this season. So first off, let's look where they are right now. They're 16th in the league, level on points with Bournemouth, who are in the relegation zone, just 2 points off bottom of the league, Southampton. So compared to where they were 2 years ago, fighting for Champions League places, it's a major drop off. They're currently on a 4-game losing streak. The third time this has happened this season already. A 4-game losing streak, at least. They've had I think a 6-game losing streak in the league this season. It's not good, and that hasn't a 4-game losing streak hasn't happened for Leicester since 16-17 season. The season after they won the Premier League, when they were fighting relegation for some of the season. So it's been a while since Leicester have been this bad. They've got the third worst defence in the league, 46 conceded in 26 games. If you compare that to the other seasons, it's been a progressional decline. It's conceded 59 last year, which kind of went under the radar. For a lot of last year, they were kind of mid as well. They got a few results at the end of the season, so they finished, I think, 8th. So it looked like they had a decent season, but for a lot of last season, they were quite bad as well. And then the season before, 50, that's when they finished 5th to qualify, or 6th, I think, to qualify for the Conference League. And then 41 in the 1920 season when they just missed out on the last day to Man United for Champions League. It's been a really bad season. They're so reliant on Maddison. Maddison's been really good this season. That's the one bright spot, but they've become so reliant on him. He's their only creator in the squad. Tielemans has been in and out of the squad. He's clearly not favoured by Brendan Rodgers because he wants to leave on a free. He got his transfer denied last summer. And then you look at the other players around them, like the Barnes, Iheanacho, Vardy, Daka, Ayoze Perez when he was there, Albrighton when he was there, Mendy, Dewsbury Hall, indeed, they're not passing players. They're either ball-winning midfielders, proper number 9s, or scoring wide players. They're not creators. And Tielemans was that alongside Maddison, but now it's just Maddison, and it becomes so reliant on him. And in the last 9 games, Maddison hasn't had a goal involvement when he's played, or even when he hasn't played. Leicester haven't won a game. They haven't won a game without a Maddison goal involvement in nine games. That's really, really bad. Really bad. 8 losses in them games as well. So they're not just drawing games, they're losing games. They've won games on XG 9 times in 26 games. That's really bad. They're just conceding so many chances. Really, really bad. And games with 50% and over possession, 14 times they've done that. 2 wins, 2 draws, 10 losses. So when they have the ball, they can't do anything with it. They work well when they are the team on counter to go into space, and that's kind of what their profile squad now. Barnes, Tete, Iheanacho, Daka on a counter attack into space. That's where they work well. But when they got the ball, when they have to work it themselves, especially in midfield area where they don't have that ball player, with Tielemans also out injured right now, but also in and out of the squad, they can't do it in possession. I think it's been pretty well known that Leicester's transfer strategy since coming to Premier League has been buying players young and developing them. But if a few years ago when they were qualifying for Europa League, Challenge for Champions League, they were getting a lot of praise for their transfer strategy, and yeah, well deserved. But I don't think people realise how many of their transfers missed as well. We'll go to the season after they won the Premier League. Silimani for €31 million from Porto, from Sporting Lisbon. Not a good transfer. Not good. Musa from CSK Moscow for €20 million. Again, not a good transfer. Ndidi for €70 million from Genk. That's fine. He's been really good. Not this season. He's good. Mendy for €15 million. He's been hit and miss. He's been a lot better this season. He's actually above Ndidi this season. But when he came in to replace, he was the Kante replacement. But he's been bad for most of his time at the club. And then the season after, so we'll say 2 out of them 4 transfers work probably. And next season, Iheanacho, €27 million. Has it worked out? Probably not. He's had decent spells here and there. Like that in 2 games where they beat Aston Villa and Spurs, scoring 4 goals. He played very well, but since then, not very good. In the FA Cup, he's amazing. But you'd probably say that hasn't worked out. Andre Silva for €20 million. Ibora for €15 million. Them 2 didn't work out. Maguire for 30 million euros, that worked out. They sold him for 85 million euros, 90 million euros. So you say one transfer worked out in them. 18-19, this was probably their best transfer. This is what kind of made them really good for the next couple of seasons. Madison, 25 million euros, amazing transfer. Pereira for 22 million euros. For a couple of seasons where he stayed fit, one of the best right backs in the league. Soyuncu for 21 million euros. Again, for that season or two where he was good, for probably about half of the 19-20 season, he was good, but again, hasn't taken that next level. Benkovic for 14 million euros. Don't even know where he is now. Ward, 40 million euros. He's not very good, and they bought him in 18-19, and he's only starting playing now. 14 million euros investment for that. Not very good. Gazal, 40 million euros. Not good. Johnny Evans, 4 million. Very good. So, you'd say 3 very successful ones in Pereira, Madison, and Evans. 1 decently successful one in Soyuncu and Benkovic, Ward, and Gazal. For a combined 42 million euros. Completely wasted. 19-20, this is a mixed one because you've got Petillins for 45 million euros. Very good signing. Again, you're going to lose him for nothing, which is probably not a great strategy for them. But Iosa Perez for 33 million euros. Dennis Pratt for 20 million. Justin for 6 million. I think that's a good signing. 6 million. He's been decent. He can play left and right back. But he's had really annoying injuries. He had 2 cruciate ligament injuries, I think, now, which is kind of set back his development. But Perez and Pratt for combined 53 million euros. So you think over them 2 windows, it wasted about 90 million. And if we go back to the other windows already, they're already wasted about 150 million euros worth of players in 4 windows. Really bad. 2021 players, they bought 2 players, but you say they've probably both been worth it so far. Fofana, 35 million euros. They sold him for about 90. You can call that a success. And whilst he was there when he wasn't injured, he was very good. Castagno, 20 million euros. First style player. He's not great. He's not bad either. And then since then, their transfer strategy has been very, very bad. Daka, 30 million euros. Hasn't worked out at all. He's just so erratic. Some games he'll look really good. He's supposed to be the Vardy replacement, the pace play, getting behind. Work hard, but hasn't worked out. Sumari made sense at the time. He just won the league with Lille. Hasn't worked out at all. He just doesn't have any qualities about him. Not great defensively, not great on the ball. Vestergaard, 70 million. He's not even in the squad anymore. They bought him last season and he's been ousted from the squad because he doesn't agree with Brendan Rodgers. And then this season, again, it's probably too early to tell for some of the players, but Bout Face for 17 million euros, like, he's alright. He hasn't been great really at all. Harry Suter, 17 million euros. Again, I don't think he's that great. He got a lot of hype for the World Cup, but again, don't think he's that great. It could change, but I like Christensen at left back. 14 million euros. I think that's a decent signing. But yeah, that's the not great. So the thing is with the signings, they made sense at the time. They missed a few key areas at times. Goalkeeper at times, right winger until Teddy got Tete on loan now, but they kind of missed that right winger. Even like Lookman on loan, that's a decent signing, but he didn't sign him permanently. Now he's doing really well at Atalanta. Left back, they kind of ignored for a couple of years. Maybe that's because they thought Luke Thomas was going to be the guy, but they haven't developed him. But that's kind of moved on to another point in a minute. But I think it's just their defence this season has been really, really bad. And I think that's kind of shown by the inexperience of it. And their signings have been kind of focused on so many young players. They've really missed the inexperience this one. That's really affected them defensively. Losing Kasper Schmeichel in the summer, losing Evans to injury this season. This is probably their first choice defence right now. It's Danny Ward, 29 Premier League appearances. Castagna, 79. Suter, 6. Foutface, 20. And Christensen, 4. It's combined 138 appearances in the Premier League. That's really, really bad. And it's not like any of them are really great players where they come from another league. They've got all experience in another league. Danny Ward's barely played in his career. Castagna's, he's got the experience, but he's not a leader in the squad, and he's just a right back. Suter's come up from the Championship. He was injured for a year before he joined. Foutface, he's coming from League On. He's alright, not the greatest player. Christensen is a young player from Denmark. It's just a very baffling thing that they saw relegation on the cards, but they went for inexperience again. And this is kind of shown by like their signings, they've all been inexperienced. They haven't focused on the experienced players. You need experienced players throughout the team and leaders throughout the team, and they really, really haven't found that. They needed to stop focusing on young players for maybe 1 or 2 windows and get some experienced players in there. Maybe they were a bit burnt by the Ibora, by the Adrian Silva, by the Slimani signings that they went for these young players. But along with these young players, you just got to get experienced players in there. And because I think they haven't got the experienced players, I think the player development has been really, really bad over the last few years. Really, really bad. If you go at like Luke Thomas, so highly rated at left back, he can still come true, but really hasn't developed at all. Soyuncu at the back, he had a really good start to his career, really tailed off. Castagna hasn't developed into a fullback that some people thought he could be a very good fullback, but he hasn't really developed into that. Indeed, he's regressed massively. Tielemans hasn't progressed into that really, really elite midfielder that everyone thought he would be, like one of the best in the world. Again, Mendy, when he came in, supposed to be that high potential player, again, hasn't done that. Daka, Iheanacho, really just haven't developed in players. Perez, again, supposed to be highly rated, didn't develop. There's so many players that just haven't developed in this Leicester side, and that's just, with all these players that not developing, and some of them regressing massively. Indeed, he's really, really poor. And you got to look at the coach for this as well. You can blame the board, they haven't brought in the right players maybe, but at the time some of them made sense. Sumari just won the league with Lille as one of the starting centre midfielders. Daka just scored a load of goals in the Austrian league, very highly rated. If you add up all the transfers of the people I said they probably wouldn't sign them again if they had the choice, that's 275 million euros worth of players. So that just shows how wasteful they've been in the transfer window recently. But you got to look at the point that, is it wasteful spending, or is it the manager not being able to get the best out of players? Because I think this season has been the manager not being able to get the best out of players. And Brendan Rodgers has this style of play where he likes his attackers. He's a very attacking coach. He likes his fullbacks getting up. He likes to just committing players forward. But this season it hasn't worked out. It really hasn't worked out, and it hasn't been a plan B. There hasn't been a bit more reserve sides. Less you've seen by the possession stats. When they don't have possession of the ball, they're really, really good, but he doesn't like playing that way that often. He likes his players having possession, he likes attacking. So when they like bomb players forward, they're so open defensively. They're massively open defensively. And with the players they have at their disposal, with the inexperienced players back, with the players that don't know how to play with each other, with the likes of Suter and Face who aren't the quickest of players, they're so open to balls over the top, balls in behind, pacey strikers. It's been happening all season. If you look at the Man United game, Rashford got into high multiple times. Look at the Southampton game recently. Alcaraz got the goal from running behind. The Chelsea game, many times they just got in behind their centre-backs. It's a reoccurring theme. And the transfer people, they didn't do a good enough job recruiting the best centre-backs for the job. But Rodgers also not playing to the strengths of some of these players. Do I think Rodgers should go right now? Probably not. It's a bit strange. There's only a few games left in the season. He's been at the club, I think this is his 5th season at the club. You wouldn't sack him now, but I think at the end of the season, it's probably time to move on to a new coach. The players have been with him too long. There hasn't been enough refreshment in the squad. It's gone a bit stale. I think a new coach with new ideas, getting the best out of some of the players that have been really good in the past, like Ndidi, getting shouts for one of the best defensive midfielders in the league. I think a new manager is probably needed. And if results keep going the bad way, if they lose the next couple of games, maybe then you do look at sacking him. But again, who do you bring in? Who do you bring in that suits the players? Because Leicester do want to play this style of play that's attacking high up the pitch. But that's very hard to do when you're in a relegation battle. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. Put your thoughts on Leicester in the comments. Do you think they'll stay? Do you think they'll stay? Go down? Yeah, thanks for watching.